not playing music now. Sorry, I'm just a little too lazy, and it's a little late. Not too late, but because it's only after 10 here, but it's just a little late, and my mom's coming in at late in the afternoon tomorrow, so from Hawaii, so it's lucky. But anyway, I'm not gonna be talking about the coinciding stories, because we all know the coinciding stories were Chain of Memories and 358 over 2 days. But I'm not gonna be talking about them together. I'll talk about them separately. So I'm gonna say 358 over 2 days for Monday, or for a time when I have time alone. So if you guys don't see the video Monday, that will probably mean that I've got my mom home, and sometimes she likes to barge in. Anyway, I'm gonna be telling you guys about the dual castle journey for Chain of Memories. Hikaru, Sora, Donald, and Goofy were at the end of the start of our friendship. We're walking down a path, going to find Riku and the king. Obviously, you wouldn't expect it to happen that way, but that is what happened. I wish they had a better ending than that, but it had to lead into Chain of Memories somehow. While walking, they run into Pluto. Pluto's got the king's letter, or one of the king's letters, and is carrying it in his mouth. And Sora asks, "Hey, have you seen King Mickey?" And Pluto runs off. They chase after him. Later that night, they wind up in this open field, and Hikaru has a feeling that she's been there before. At the same time, she doesn't, because she's thinking, I've never been here, but this place really actually seems very familiar. Like, maybe like a cliff was here or something? And she was like looking around, she was imagining what the place would be like. And like I had said before, Hikaru, when she's with people, she remembers less about her home, but when she's on her own, she remembers more about it. But she can't place it on her tongue what the name of her own world was. And neither could Kairi anyway, so Kairi wasn't alone. Only Sora and Riku had remembered their home, because their only home was Destiny Islands. But, anyway, she and Sora awoke from this weird dream, and it was late at night. Donald and Goofy are still sleeping, and they get up to look around, and all of a sudden they hear this voice is saying, "Along the road lies something you need, but to get to it you must lose something dear," or something to that effect. I cannot remember for the life of me what Marluxia said, and yeah, we all know the beginner person was Marluxia, but things don't always turn out like that. Anyway, Dawn and Goofy wake up at some point. I think they woke up like 10 minutes later after hearing that, and they all walk down another path, and they end up at this castle. And they don't know what the castle is. Hikaru was looking at it, and she's getting this feeling in her heart. She knows the castle, but it used to be different. And she's wondering, what the heck? Why do I feel like this place is familiar? And Sora looks at her, and it's like, what's wrong? And of course, in his adolescent voice, is, what's wrong? The lower the voice, and just like, what the heck? She gets her attention. And it was then that she started gaining that crush on Sora, was when he started talking again. And like, she remembered, we gotta find Riku and King Mickey. And all of a sudden, hearing this lower voice is just like, whoa. And her heart is beating rapidly away. But she said, I feel like I know this place, but at the same time I don't. It's weird. But I feel like people are here. Like our very best friends are here. And once they got inside, Sora told her, actually, me too, I've been getting that feeling. And they might find Riku and Mickey here. And Goofy's thinking that great minds think alike until Jiminy points out that he had that very same feeling. And everyone is getting weirded out because this is something that should never happen. And they need to wonder what's going on in the castle, so they go further through, and Goofy points out that they should probably close the door. Winds up seeing this guy in a hood, a guy in a black hood, like just standing there, scaring the crap out of him. And he's walking forward. Donald's trying to use magic and can't. And the guy points out, and we all know it's Marluxia, like I said, we all know it's Marluxia. He points out that once I stepped into Castle Oblivion, once they stepped foot in the castle, they forgot every spell and every ability they ever knew. So Hikaru's just like, what? Did I forget how to use my Keyblade? Huh? And apparently she actually kind of did. She had to gain it back, and it would be hard for her. So, for that time being, she was stuck having to use what she had. Which, well, she kind of sort of lost the ability to will the Keyblade forward again. And that was kind of weird because during her journey, she always had the ability to will it. Both in her very first journey when she was little, and at the start of her friendship, she was like that. She had the ability to will it forward, but at that point when she stepped foot in the castle, she forgot. And she was thinking that's very strange, because she's had it ever since she was little, and there's no possible way that she could have forgotten how to will it forward. So Sora would help her with that. So the first few worlds that they would go through, so like the first world that they went through, Sora let her fight half the battles, and she would let him fight the other half of the battles of the Heartless and stuff. And they would just switch on and off like that. Through the first world, they would switch. So Sora would let her use his Keyblade until she had the ability to will it forward. Gee, does that sound very familiar, guys? Does that sound very familiar? Because it does to me. Guaranteed it won't happen until later. Another story that coincides with this. But, after that first world, when Marluxia meets them again at the end, asking if it was nice seeing their memories again, Hikaru remembers meeting Leon, and she remembers meeting Aerith, and them having this troubling feeling that they should know them, but yet they don't. It's like the heart that's doing it, and then all of a sudden, like, saying their names is just awkward, especially for Leon. And Yuffie, too. And Sid, as well. But, like, of course, Axel comes into play. Axel decides to test them both out, but when he sees Hikaru, he's just like, he's thinking on the inside in his mind, he's like, that can't be. Is that her? Like, his person is still on the inside, and inside his mind, and he's just like, oh my goodness, it can't be her. No, that can't be Hikaru, is it? Until, like, she looks at him, she's like got this weird face on, she's questioning, she's like, do I know him? And then Sora sees him, and he's like, Hikaru, are you okay? All of a sudden, Axel's eyes go wide, and he's like, oh frick, oh no. It's Hikaru. I don't want to fight her. My person would not like that if I damaged his best friend. Well, then again, she's my best friend because I'm that person. But, considering the fact that I don't know how I freaking died, I don't know how I lost my heart. Like, before I get back to the story, does anyone know how nobody's lost their heart in the first place? Especially, I know Sykes was for, like, probably, like, a possible moon reason, but anyone know how Lee lost his? Or I know, like, most of the followers of Xehanort will lose their hearts over time, but anyone know how those other followers lost it? Like Alias and Dylan and Lee and shoot, there were a lot of people. Evan, Ienzo. Do you guys know how they lost theirs? I really want to know, so comment below if you do know. Because I don't want to take the time to look it up. I need to figure this stuff out so I can keep it, so I can get it memorized already. Anyway, back to the story. Axel refused to fight Hikaru, but he will fight Sora. But in a way, he can't fight Sora either because of Roxas, and he had this feeling that they were going to be connected somehow, but it wasn't. He didn't want to say anything to Roxas specifically because of that. Especially to his new friend Shion. But Shion is brought up in another time. Anyway, well, it seemed to Axel that he had no choice but to fight them both, even though he didn't want to, he had to. And he pieced together some of the memories and stuff, and while fighting with Sora, he sampled another memory from him onto those memory cards. I actually made those before, I need to make some more. And have like all these different worlds on there. And just handed it off like that. And it was through the next few worlds, what was interesting was the fact that once they got to Hollow Bastion, Hikaru, during half of it, told Sora that she was fading for some reason. She didn't know why, but was told in her heart that someone else needed her help as well. So she was teleported to another part of Hollow Bastion where Riku's journey started. She was transported to the castle within Hollow Bastion. It was Ansem's castle, Ansem the Wise's castle. And it went up turning into Maleficence after the Heartless took over Radiant Garden and turned into Hollow Bastion. And she saw Riku. She's like, Riku? Did your heart call out to me or something? He's like, I don't know why. Because I faded away from Sora's. And you're like, Sora's side? She's like, yeah, don't scare me like that, Riku. He's like, I'm just glad Sora's okay. I'm like, yeah, me too. And it will be during the next few worlds that she will go back and forth between Sora and Riku. In every world they go to. Except for Neverland. One of Sora's memories, I don't think was to Neverland. We know he has been there. I know he's been to Neverland. It's because of Kairi. But I don't think he ever got the card sampled for Neverland. I know he did for Atlantica, but I don't know if that happened for Neverland. So, I think it was only Riku's that was with Neverland. Specifically since he had the most done. And Sora was only memorized with the inside of the pirate ship, with the inside of Hook's ship. So Riku was the only one that actually had more experience outside of it. And he didn't like it. I could kind of tell the feeling that he didn't like it. So, she would help Riku through just that entire world. She'll stay with Riku through that entire world until later. Until another point in time where she would have to go back to Sora. It was fun for her because she got to witness like Riku's side of the story, but at the same time she was kind of iffy about it because he did wind up accidentally giving himself up to darkness, but it wasn't what he wanted to do, and everyone knew that. He didn't want that to happen. He only did that because he wanted to protect Kairi, and not only that, he actually wanted to protect Hikaru because Maleficent told him that she was gonna go after Hikaru if he didn't follow her. And Riku told her, I'll do it, just stay away from her. And so obviously she had told Riku that he reminded her of somebody that she once knew in the past. Riku asked who, and she wouldn't tell because she lost her memory of him. Obviously. But, it would appear to Riku that, Maleficent tried to lure Hikaru away still, and by using Hook, she would have captured her. But Hook, once Hook saw her, he was shocked to know that she was still alive, because he thought that she would have given up by now, that she would have died. Obviously, he didn't know her as well as he thought he did. She's a strong girl. She told him, I'm stronger than you think I am, so don't be trying to tell me anything different. I wouldn't blame her because I would tell him the exact same thing. I would. I really would. I really would tell him the exact same thing because I don't want anyone else to be thinking that I'm somebody that's not supposed to be alive, you know. I'm not gonna be freaking out over people like that. But Hikaru winds up telling him that she was better than he thought she was, and was telling him that she wasn't going to give up that easily. And Riku saw the determination side, and that was something he had seen only when they were kids, only when they were 7. Well, she was 7, he was 8. That was the only thing that he saw of her, because she wasn't lazy until she started hanging more towards Sora. She was determined to finish that raft with Riku, and it brought back that memory for Riku, for the fact that she would always help with the raft, and he wouldn't be the only one to do it. So it was kind of funny, and he thought that if they weren't like brother and sister, then he probably would have gone out with her. He was thinking that while having to stay in Neverland that long. But after going through that memory for Riku, she went back to Sora and helped him get through another world that Riku hadn't gone through. And they went back. She just went back and forth with them, and it was hard for her because it wore her down a lot, and they had to fight a lot of Heartless, a lot of enemies, and it wasn't all that fun. And especially Replica Riku. We call it Repliku. She had to fight him. I want to say almost 8 times. She had to fight him almost 8 times. She would go from Riku, from Sora, and Sora was the first one, kind of the first one to fight him. No, Riku was the first one to fight him. And then Sora, then Riku again, then Sora, Riku. She had to fight him nearly 8 times, and she was like, oh, I'm getting tired of fighting him. And when she and Sora got to the last world, which was said to be buried deep within his heart, on the other side of his heart, Axel gave him the card. I think, was it Axel? I'm just gonna say it was Axel, because I don't remember who gave it to him. But they had gone to Twilight Town. And she's looking around, she's like, I don't know this place, do you, Sora? And he's like, I don't know this place at all. And he was so confused, because this is a place that he was not literally familiar with. This is something that is completely different, completely new. This is a new world for him, and he doesn't know anything about it. But little did they know, it was actually his Roxas, his nobody Roxas, and her nobody Shion, who had gone there before. So that's why they think it was like on the other side of the heart, is They're nobody's side that actually had gotten hold of it, and it managed to get implanted in them the memory of Twilight Town, even though they knew nothing about it. I don't blame them either. I would be confused too. This coming from a girl who practically almost lives in darkness. I live in Castle Oblivion. What am I saying? I live in Castle Oblivion. I live beyond the door to darkness. I live in a place that's neutral. Anyway, but once she goes through that, and they fight, Riku once again. No, they fight Vexen. Vexen was the last one they fought. And they went inside. Namine met them in there, like, while going through those worlds, having to remember Namine being there, and Hikaru was very confused because she had never met Namine before. She literally never met her. So, and her memories, they don't get tampered with. It's only Sora's that get tampered with. But as soon as he started remembering Namine, he started forgetting about her and forgetting about Kairi. So she's wondering, what the heck is going on with Sora then? So actually, she left. She left to go find Riku. And Donald and Goofy are the ones wondering, where's Hikaru? Where'd Hikaru go? And Sora's like, who? And Donald is just like, oh my god, I can't believe you. I know Donald doesn't say that, but I would have him say, gosh, are you serious, Sora? You forgot about Hikaru? And Sora's just like, who again? And obviously with Namine being a witch with power over Sora's memories and those around him, she was forced to gradually make Sora forget about Hikaru so they could not only get him, but get Hikaru as well, because she would give in to darkness at that point, because they knew darkness was growing in her heart. Thanks a lot, nobodies. Thanks a lot. Anyway, she goes to help Riku out, finish his journey. She gets the feeling from her necklace, and Sora was the only one to touch it at that time. She gets the feeling from her necklace that when it glows purple, it'll glow purple for her when Sora's asleep. When Sora goes to sleep. She had allowed, when she first met Namine, she had allowed her to put that spell on the stone. That way she can tell. And she met Namine while Sora was going through another world, and she was feeling rather depressed, so she went to see if she can go to Riku. She had to get Namine's help to head over to Riku and help him out with the rest of his journey. And she said, can you place a spell on my necklace that I got from Sora? She's like, sure, what do you want me to put on it? And she just said, and she just told Namine, just let it glow purple if he goes to sleep to get his memories. Because honestly, Namine, the way that you're forced to make him forget about me and Kairi, it actually kind of hurts, you know? And she's like, I know, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen. And Hikaru's like, it's fine, just let it glow purple if Sora goes to sleep. And she said, okay. And she had just touched it. Like Aqua did with Kairi's necklace, she did the same thing. And it started glowing purple, that way it'll tell her when Sora goes to sleep. And it would glow another color if he wakes up, but nah, she didn't want that, so she wanted to figure out for herself if Sora was awake. And yeah. Anyway, she, after thanking Namine, she leaves to go to Riku through a dark corridor, leaves to go to the other side of Castle Oblivion to help Riku finish his journey. And as soon as they got through the 6th world together, no, not the 6th one. As soon as they got through the 9th one, because I think they were only supposed to go through 10, I want to say, maybe? I think Riku's only supposed to go through 10 or something. When they get to close to the last world for Riku, her necklace glows purple. And Riku's like looking down, he's like, what the heck? She's like, I asked Naminé to do something for me. That's all. So she helps Riku get through the last world, and that last world was Twilight Town. They were in Twilight Town. He was over at the Haunted Mansion. A lot of fun, isn't it? Going there. Not really. They go through, and they have to fight, yet again, Riku outside the gate. What a jerk. And once he faded, they walked into the Haunted Mansion, and they looked around. Riku's just like, this place doesn't feel familiar. And Hikaru said, it's familiar to me now. And Riku's just like, what? And she starts walking off to a room. And it was Naminé's room. She didn't know which room it was, but she was walking off to it for like she knew the place. And then all of a sudden, Riku's just like, wait a minute, hold on. Hold up. Wait for me. And she turns around and she's like, stop being so slow then. Sheesh. And she goes through and they see this room. Completely white. So a lot of things going on. And she sees like this picture. So she's like, wait a minute. This has to go to something. So she memorizes the picture, and they go across to the other room. They go across the mansion to the other room. And she draws that picture. She sees like a picture in a spot on a table with a blank spot, a blank circle. So she draws in it the symbol that's needed, and it disappears. The table and the floor. They go down, and they wind up seeing this hallway. It was very weird to see it. And they met Naminé down there. Because Riku was told to go see Naminé, and Naminé like peeks out from behind a pod, and Riku's just like, are you Naminé? She's like, mm-hmm. And he's wondering, he sees Sora in the pod. He's like, what happened to Sora? And Naminé can't say anything. Naminé is nervous to say anything to Riku because Riku would flip out. So Hikaru decides to break it to him. Like, Sora chose to go to sleep to get his memories back. And Riku's just like, what? Huh? Lazy. And Naminé said, you have a choice too. Because during their time in Twilight Town in the beginning, they had run into Ansem, the supposed Ansem Seeker of Darkness, which turned out not to be him because Hikaru knew the scent very well. Riku and Hikaru knew the scent of Ansem Seeker of Darkness very well, but the scent was very different. She sniffed around and actually whispered to Riku beforehand, that's not Ansem. That's not Ansem Seeker of Darkness. That's not him. He's like, what? She's like, it's not him. It's not him. It's not the Seeker of Darkness. It's not the one that took over you, Riku. It's somebody else. In the form of Ansem. And once Riku pointed that out as well, because he knew that the darkness stench that Ansem Seeker of Darkness had was more foul, it was Diz. A somebody yet a nobody, in other words. Someone yet not. One who drifts between light and darkness. Like a nobody, in a way. Drifting between nothing. And, so therefore, Naminé told Riku, like how Diz told Riku that he had a choice. She tells him he has a choice for going to sleep or just having to fight off the darkness. If he goes to sleep, she can put a lock on his heart where Ansem can't get out. Riku just told her flat out, I'm ready to fight him. I'll fight him. And no one's gonna stop me. And she had a feeling he'd say that. Even Hikaru had a feeling. So she asked Hikaru, do you want to go to sleep to get your memories back? And Hikaru said, my memories have not been tampered with since I entered the castle much. The only thing that got tampered with is the fact that I can't will my Keyblade forward anymore. And it's kind of confusing me. And she said, if you go to sleep, then you'll be able to will that Keyblade again. I can put it back together. Because I was forced to actually make you forget that. And she said, let me think about it for a minute. Let me think about it for a little bit. And if I come back, you can put me to sleep. And she's like, okay. So she walks out with Riku. Because Ansem, why am I saying Ansem? Diz gave Riku the cloak. The Organization 13 cloak. Before he went into the Haunted Mansion. And he was close to giving it to Hikaru as well. But he didn't give it to her. Because he had a feeling she would need to fight as well. And probably even go to sleep. Because she would probably need it anyway. Mickey wore it too. Mickey was with them at the end. And Riku told him that I want to fight Ansem on my own. I need to fight him on my own. There's no way I can get anywhere if I have help. A little help? And Hikaru's like, Hikaru whispers to Mickey, maybe a little help at the end. And Riku's just like, what are you saying? Nothing. And Riku puts on the cloak. And so does Mickey. And they walk down the path. And Diz is waiting there, and he gives them an option. You can go towards light, or you can go towards darkness. Riku, as obvious, as we all know, chooses neither, and goes right down the middle. It's like the road to twilight. Like on the road to twilight. And Riku says, no, it's the way to dawn. And therefore his Keyblade changes from Soul Eater, that we all knew from Kingdom Hearts 1, that he had gained due to the fact of the captured princess's hearts, to Way to Dawn with an angel wing. And of course his Soul Eater Keyblade at first did not have a little heartless chain, and it has a little heartless chain now to remind him that he is in control of his own darkness. It's his darkness alone. There's nobody else there. It's his darkness. He can take it. And she walks that path too. Hikaru walks down that path. But as soon as she walks down that path, brings her hand forward, she had used Riku's Keyblade too. She and Riku did the same thing that she and Sora did during their part of the Castle Oblivion journey. Switching between them the Soul Eater. And what she got, as soon as it hit her, she felt like she had gained a new Keyblade, but she's not going to know what it is just yet. So she goes back to Diz. And Diz is like, have you made your choice? And she's like, yes, take me to Naminé. Please, take me to Naminé. And Diz had this feeling that he had seen this girl before because she was polite. He remembered seeing a little girl that he was in charge of when back in his world. He was in charge of watching over this girl, and she was like a niece to him. She was like family. So he had to keep an eye on her very well because of her sister and her adopted brother. Her adopted brothers. And so Diz takes her back to Twilight Town, and she goes up to Naminé, and she's like, I'm ready to sleep. And Namine had already prepped she had already prepped the pod for her, and she found it a little weird how Namine already knew what to do in case she did come back, and she did. She did come back. So she hopped in there. She hopped in the pod. And she actually told Namine, I have something for Riku. If you see him, which I'm pretty sure you will, Namine, give this to him. And she pulls out a blindfold. And it wasn't until later that day where she runs into Riku again, and Riku is looking for something to use, and he has nothing. So he had to... So when he saw Namine said, this is actually from Hikaru, and hands off the blindfold, the black blindfold. And Riku's just like, what? I know I may change it when I actually do write that story, but that is the basic way. He gets the blindfold from Hikaru. Hikaru wants him to keep that darkness inside unless he really needs to use it. So, if he puts it on, he's himself. If he takes it off, he's releasing the darkness that he needs to release. And that is the story. Hikaru does go to sleep to gain back her memories. The memory of her home is still on the tip of her tongue, but cannot remember it all still. So, anyway, that is the end of the story. Well, that is the end of the bio for the Chain of Memories Dual Castle Journey. Where, like I said, where Hikaru goes through both journeys between Sora and Riku and helps them get through. He knows when Sora goes to sleep, and she goes to sleep herself. And I will see you guys at another point to talk about 358 over 2 days, Organization 13, entering Shion. Hikaru's nobody. Later, guys. Later, taters!